track, yeah.
What is there to fear? I'm from Black America, it's just another year. You knew the disrespect of your elected puppeteers, but let me show you how to persevere. Cause get up every time some.
Alright, and we're live. Yeah, we're good. Just wanna make sure we're good. What's going on, everybody? Jay DeCosta's still here in the background. One half of the Nitty Gritty Show. Katrina's also in the back as well. We have 3 special guests today because we're going to be talking about dating and some of the hardships you guys go through. This is the ladies edition with Vickye Hayter. I want some brave brothers to come on the show next. I don't want y'all too scared to get up here for the smoke now. Like, y'all got the ladies up here represent. Don't let them represent all by themselves. All right. Let's start off by introducing our guest. And we have to our right. Yeah, if you guys are watching, should be your right. We have Elisa Seth. Elisa, if you just want to tell some people about yourself, what you do for a living, if you don't mind your age. I know we ain't supposed to ask that, but just put it out there so that way people know this is not just a one generational situation, but all types of people deal with dating.
So as I said, my name is Elisa Seth. I am 53 years old. I am divorced, and I do have children. My youngest is 16. I'm a degreed accountant. However, my career is in real estate. I'm a realtor.
No, y'all good. Keep going. Tiffany Smith.
Okay. Hello
everyone, my name is Tiffany Smith. I am a proud educator and I'm also a realtor as well.
And then Vicky, if you introduce yourself.
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Vickye Hayter and I am 48. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I own a private practice in the DMV. Mother of 4, married 22 years, and lots of good things happening.
Nice. So everybody sees the cast. You see who we have on. So let's get right into it. Normally we go over like current events and stuff like that on the Nitty Gritty Show, but I wanted to leave as much time possible to the conversation. So let's go ahead and start to dig into it. So first of all, I just want to ask the ladies, what is the scene like in 2022? Because everyone says like, there's a difference in dating from, our parents' age back when they was dating in the 80s and maybe the 70s, right? Or even some of the folks that had to date in the 90s. So is there a difference between now and before? And if so, give us your thoughts on why. Or if you don't think it's different, you tell us that too.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah. So, it's hard for me to speak on this because I haven't been out there dating, especially because of the pandemic. And during the pandemic, the real estate market just went crazy. So I've been really busy with that. My children were in school virtually. So I was home. I was a cafeteria worker. I was a maid. So it's just been crazy. So I haven't really been out there to meet anybody. The few approaches that have come my way, they just weren't anybody I would be interested in. So my new word when I'm turning somebody down, because otherwise we always get the, well, but, and you ought to try this. No. We're just not suitable. And I find when I say that, I don't get the argument back. So I'm like, I know that I'm not interested. I don't need you to try and convince me. There's no convincing. So just leave me alone. I'm not interested. And have a great day.
Hopping right into it, I think the difference between back when my grandparents probably were dating and now is that we just have so much instant gratification. Someone tells you they're not suitable, okay, well I can just go on my little phone, download an app, make a little profile, and okay, I like Sally, I like Susie, I like this person, I can go on another app, I can do this. Like, you have so much at your fingertips. And so what is genuine and what is really not? And what is someone who's just a swipe when it's a real soul and a heart behind it? I just feel like we're not relating to people as people, but just someone that we see in the digital realm.
Yeah, I think so. I want to piggyback off of that. I mean, of course, I'm not dating, right, babe? I'm not dating. I'm dating him, however. But when I'm talking to people about dating, it's a thing. It always has been, but the way it looks it's different in a lot of ways. There are a lot less real interpersonal connections, very superficial connection. Social media plays a big part in dating now, and I can't say so much in beneficial ways, or it seems to me it's beneficial more to men than it is to women, because like you say, it's easy to go online and like profiles, look at as many women, never have to step to them on a very real, confident way, comment with what you're bringing. I think it's beneficial to men, and women are left to deal with whatever comes their way in this age of technology and meeting people.
So we talked about the dating scene and some of the difference with that. We know technology definitely always plays a part. Would you include that as part of some of the main hurdles of dating right now?
I think also with technology, also women having more access to education. So in the 70s, women couldn't even get a credit card, right? And so we have so much more independence. I think back then it was more so, even if I'm not happy with this man, I have to stay with this man, because you couldn't even have a credit card. You couldn't even have a visa prior to, I think, 1975. So I think now, women are out here, they're doing everything by themselves. And, if you're gonna come into their lives and not make it easier for them, they don't need you. They're already doing everything they need on their own. So I think that's another thing, is that we also have the power to say no and to be content with being by ourselves, because we're already financially stable, and studies show that Black women are making more than our Black men. So that's another issue as well.
I gotta, I hear you, and I think so. That definitely plays a part. I talk to a lot of people about when they're dating, Black women in particular, when you're dating, you should date like you do when you look for a job. Like, Black women handle their business when they're managing their careers. Manage dating the same way. Like, I don't just read one job description. I read many before I determine which one I want to date. Right? I'm looking for all the pros and cons and benefits of that job. I mean, I think you should handle your career and dating very much similar ways. Read the resumes, right? Make sure yours is top notch. But there's this area, like, we have all the things, right? We have awesome careers, and Black women, you know, they've achieved so much in this time period, but it's the time period in which dating is crucial, right? It's the time period where when you hit 35-ish, and we haven't handled that dating like we did that career, with the contentment doesn't add up. Right? We find that we have so many single Black women wanting to have children but have not met that person, right? And so we're trying to figure out what happened between 22 and 35, right? And I think that's where the challenge is, and there are a number of factors involved. Yes, we're out there, we got this ability to achieve great things in this time frame, but I've talked to many women who said, I just really hadn't thought about kind of how important the social piece is. Yeah, you're kind of there, but are you handling like you did that career?
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good point too, because rest in peace to him, but he was no one's favorite probably. Kevin Samuels, I dig his content, but you said something similar that he brings up, which is, if you haven't handled that relationship piece by 35. He called it the danger zone, right? It almost antagonized women with it, but there seemed to be a level of truth to it, that if you don't find balance between your career, even though women are making more, I know you said women make more, in some areas they do, but men in general still make a little bit more than women. But women are more sophisticated. Black women especially are more sophisticated in general than Black men. But Black men still make decent money because they still do factory work, they're still plumbers, but they don't have the level of sophistication our Black women do, because Black women are going to college at a higher rate, getting higher education at a rate. So it's like, you want to go on certain types of trips, you want to have different types of experiences, and the men, shout out to Kevin Samuels, because he would get on them about this, you need to up your sophistication level, because women start to kind of look over those possible candidates, because it's like, I've been working hard from, like you said before, 22 to 35. And now it's, I want to settle down, but I want to meet my equal. So how is that? You guys are all professional women. Vickye, before you got married, obviously you had your options out there. You got with, one of the more men of distinction that you could have found. You found an alpha man. Shout out to 858. No, but seriously, how, you guys talk a little bit to that, right? Because women are trying to find their equal, or someone they feel like could lead me. So you've worked so hard. How is navigating that space?
I think I agree. So I said I wasn't gonna say it, but on TikTok it was just saying there's only, prayer without works is dead. So there's only so much praying and manifesting and writing down in your journal. I agree with you. Without, having that work-life balance, I can't ask for someone to come into my life. And I'm an educator primarily. So if all I do is work with women and children, go to the gym in my apartment and go home, I'm not gonna be anyone. It's not gonna work, because I work with women all day. No, I'm not seen. So I definitely do agree that, especially when you're a first generation college student, it's just work hard, get there, work hard, get there. Nobody's really saying like, yeah, work hard, but try to enjoy life too. That was never drilled into me as something to do. And so you didn't think about it, but thank God for the internet to say you have to align yourself with your goals. So if you, like, basically just getting myself out there more. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go to a networking event. Maybe I'll go here. I'm not gonna go to a shabby bar, a hole in the wall, but just going to those high quality events, networking events, charity events to get myself out there more. So I have like taken that like constructive criticism to implement that. Me and my friends have done that because it wouldn't, especially for me, just being at school all day and coming home, it's not gonna work. So yeah.
Well, and it again back to the age of technology. That that might have worked back in the day, but you can do so much on technology now. You can get all your groceries. You don't even have to be out as much. We had to get out and do things. I'm saying like I'm like 60 or 70, but even in dating in the 90s, we didn't use technology that way. We didn't really have it like that anyway. So you did more things that you would be out meeting people more for anyway. Now people are twiddling their thumbs, swiping, looking at a screen constantly. And so you miss opportunities that we had prior to social media and internet and
And Alyssa, you being a more experienced there, right? How was that switch? Because before you got married, things was one way, probably dating in the 90s, right? Late 90s. Yeah. And now it's, okay, I'm single again. And the technology. So how was that transition?
So I'll say this, with the technology, I don't really use it for that, and I'm not against meeting people online or anything like that. Now I will say this, and part of it is because of my real estate. I'm always trying to put myself out there because I am my business, and unfortunately I do attract people. I had a gentleman reach out to me because he came across my YouTube channel, and he wasn't anybody I would be interested in. He had his own little red flags, but then like they want my services, and it's like, oh well, I'm looking for a home in a gated community, or I want 2-acre property in Virginia, in our area that's going to be a million plus or whatever. And thankfully, because of our process, it's always like, okay, that's fine. I need your pre-approval letter, or I need your proof of funds, and then that's when they him and they're home. And it's obvious on my end because of the experience that I have to recognize it for what it is. But so in terms of the technology, I'm out there more where they can see me. And then it's also with the real estate and how, and again with social media, with seeing the money and things like that. I think in the men's eye, it's like, oh, I need a woman like that in my corner. And so I deal with that, and I'm like, I'm more than just that. And if that's all, you don't even know anything about me to say that I'm even suitable for you. But I did want to touch on when we were talking about the women, between the 22 and 30, they all of a sudden they look up, they're 35 and they still haven't met someone, and then might trigger some people or whatever. But I think we have to be honest about ourselves and where we were mentally, emotionally, during that time, and did we do the work to heal? A lot of us are dealing with the trauma from our parents, from our childhood, and we never got that together. So in those crucial years when you should be meeting that partner, you weren't dating the right person, you weren't making the right connections, and then all of a sudden you see yourself at 35, and then you're like, well, I want to have kids and I haven't yet, so then you compromise. And then you start the cycle all over again. And so I think a lot of women have found themselves in that place. Especially black women.
I think definitely, because when you like you said, you've been through things, and there's maybe like a lack of clarity. But I've also seen where situations could have worked, but maybe too young to really recognize that maybe there were some good opportunities out there. Sometimes dating, the way we date in the African American community is troubling to me. Like, we don't give people skills early. I always say this because I have a 16, 14-year-old. It's like, when I see what's happening amongst their peers, you know, and I'm talking about Caucasian families, you know, they're socializing their kids for the purpose of meeting the right person. And if we look at other cultures where they do arranged marriages, there's a process. You don't just, I mean, yes, they fall in love too, some, but overall, there is a kind of a way in which people do that.
They're guiding them.
Yeah, there's a guide. There is a, hey, this is what I'm expecting of you. This is what we need and we're looking for in this family, and you marry into X, Y, Z. But see, our way of dating, half the time to me, was always like, you're going to be having sex. If you're talking to this person, it's always about you, especially for black women. You can't be talking to a lot of guys, because then you look like a hoe. You can't do this, you can't do that. How do we get rid of the stigma? If you talk to 5 guys, does that mean you sleeping with all 5 of them? No. How can you get to know? Like, to me, I'm telling my 16-year-old, listen, I need you to explore all your options. I need you to understand who this girl is. What does she bring, right? Because I want him to be able to not just get stuck in a situation, which is what we end up doing. Now, we're in a situation before we know it. And we haven't really looked at a number of different guys to see what works. You can. He said to me, one of them said to me, well, what if she's the one already? I was like, oh, that's problematic, right? I understand sometimes people have a love connection, they meet the right one right off the bat, yes. But I still think there is beauty and there's benefits to having a process for dating in which you do learn about people. What makes them a good mate? What do you like about them? You know, could you see yourself growing with this person? Like, there are things that we just don't talk to our children about regarding dating. No, dating was forbid in my home, but at some point I think my parents just kind of was like, well, it's happening, right? But I was kind of out there figuring it out for myself.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, you're out there figuring it out for yourself. You don't know what you should be allowing, what the boundaries are. Like, once I figured it out, though, on point. Like,
I agree, especially in a Christian household. Out of fear. Don't do this, don't do that, don't. But you're not telling me what to do. Yeah. You're not, so you just have someone in there just scared, and you're growing into yourself as a young woman. More you see young men or whoever you're interested in that you might have an interest in, but now you don't know what to do because God said this and God said that, and so. But God is love, so. You know, I just...
Where's the balance?
Yeah, so I just feel like, you know, whoever's in the church, maybe that's something that they can have more for the youth, because I was lost. You have all these purity retreats for us and keep yourself pure, but you're not telling me what to look for in someone to make an honest marriage.
Yeah.
What to do. I'm just scared. So.
And that goes back to what I was saying, where I think some people miss opportunities, right? Because they don't really know. Because what if that person was a good mate, could have been a good mate, you could have grown together, right? And then sometimes the people that end up in this situation because you didn't say, you know what, you got these many number of years to get it together, buddy, and then otherwise you move on. You don't stay in it 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and then you guys are still situational. What?
Right. And it's funny because I tell my children, like, when you graduate from high school, you don't have to go straight to college. You don't have to make a decision about what you're going to major in. I said, you're 17, 18 years old. You don't even know all the careers that are out there to make a proper decision on what's a good fit for you. And so it's just like you said, treat it like you would a job interview. If you're not out there experiencing different people and different backgrounds and things like that, how will you know what's a good fit for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it takes, like you had mentioned before, I think either one of you, knowing yourself.
Yes.
The self-discovery is so important. Who am I? Like, build a strong sense of self first, right? That way you won't find yourself just taking whatever comes your way. Like, there is, I mean, my dating situation probably was really great once I figured it out. But it took me getting to know myself. Right? It took me, like, friends would push me, and I grew up in the South, so by the time, I'm going to tell you, in the South, white girls are married. that wedding and that graduation plan.
They got that Mrs. degree.
It's done.
MRS.
And it used to be black women would be married. Like a lot of my friends married by the time we finished college.
Yeah.
And so they were pushing me. Vic, God, and they would just like stick friends to me. I'm like, y'all know we're friends. All of us are friends. Like, and at first, you know, at moments it would hurt my feelings, but I had gained a sense of self to say I was engaged before, and I prayed a prayer, and thank God I did. If he is not the one for me, don't let it work out. And then the next morning he came over and got all his stuff, and I was crushed, but I felt a sense of relief. Because something about that I had prayed, I believed God for it, and so that left it okay. I knew I had asked God for that. And so I didn't marry that guy. And then for another few years, I spent just kind of doing my thing, which I loved, right? And I think that kind of contentment, that kind of I'm okay being on the scene, right? So I'm not just taking whoever comes my way because now I've missed the opportunity to be married, right? I'm looking at this like, new job.
You know, I think also
Prospect.
in the black households, unfortunately, it's like, oh, he doesn't have a car, don't get with him. You know, we're putting the emphasis on the wrong things.
Yeah.
Is he getting back and forth to work?
Right. Is he responsible?
Exactly.
Right. Can he handle his business?
How's
Can
his
he
credit?
Right.
You know, does he have a budget? Does he stick to it? What are his goals?
Right.
You worried about what type of whip
What
he's
car
driving?
Yeah.
And you know, I'll throw this in there, and we'll talk about this more when I get the fellas. But there's a lot of guys out there putting on a front.
Oh my
I know of a situation where a young lady shared with me, multiple young have shared a very similar story where the guy pulls up in their friend's BMW, the friend's Mercedes. They kind of hook you. Then you find out the brother barely got a pot to piss in. Literally. And these are real stories that I deal with. I think something that happens too, because you talk about spending too much time, Vicky, and that ladies need to figure out a way not to spend too much time. A new word, situationships.
Oh,
And correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany, because you know I think you got a closer ear to the street on this one. Situationships is basically described where, you know, he's getting all the benefits of relationship, but he don't gotta post you on the IG. He won't call you his girlfriend. He can still have other situationships, sometimes a whole real relationship, right? So how do we navigate situationships? Obviously, I don't. From based off how they're described, they don't seem like a good thing for men or women. If I can be clear. So how do we keep young ladies specifically out of situationships, or can you even detect a situationship when it's happening?
I got one. Look, I was out with my friends one time, and she shared with me that a couple of her friends would go on the wedding registry site, the Knot, and found out that their partner, who they didn't realize they were the side chick, was getting married.
Oh my God.
Wait a
Now let
minute.
me say this. So now mind you, I was separated, but it was over with. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna look my husband up. And I was not there. But this was, and he didn't know it. And I know what it was. It was the game that the chick was trying to play against me, and because I didn't even know to look. I wasn't looking for anybody. I wasn't with anybody. But I just said, let me look. And she had posted it like 2 years before. So the wedding took place 2 years back. Had all my children in the ceremony. They were going to Jamaica, have a destination wedding. And to this day, I still mess with him about it. And so when I sent him the pic, I screenshot. I said, "Oh, can we get divorced first?" And he was like, "What are you talking? I was like, "See, these are the chicks you deal with."
Right. Wow. That was a gem drop.
So tell your friends, check theknot.com. Make sure they're not in a situationship.
Oh wow. I like that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of situationships.
Oh.
I've never been that person to just be like, I'm gonna give you 7 years, 5, probably not. Like, no, just not.
I think the boundary, I said I was gonna say TikTok, here we go. On TikTok, one of the relationship coach said, like, as a woman, you don't have to tell a man your boundary and your time limit, because then they'll conform to it just to keep you in that time frame. Have your time limit of, depending on how much time you want to spend, a month, 3 months. If you're not getting what you see, if you don't see it moving forward, hey, I like the word suitable. It just seems like we're just not suitable for each other. I had a great time, but I wish you well. And just to move on from that. Because I've been a victim of a situationship before, and I think in my younger self, it was just not establishing those clear boundaries and not being in fear of having that scarcity mindset of knowing that you can leave and get better, but you're going to keep wasting your time if you're still staying here. So just believing in abundance, no scarcity. Hey, it was great, but this is not going where I wanted to go. I wish you well. Yeah. So I think that's how you steer clear out of it. Set a clear boundary and time frame in your mind. They don't need to know, and stick with it.
Have your standards and stick to that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let me tell you how I was kind of doing the dating thing, and I found myself in a situation where I guarantee I wouldn't be in just that situationship. That's just me. It would be me in this situation and that situation until I figured out it was the right one.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't be in just this one long unless I have been very clear. I tell women all the time, ask the direct question. Don't make assumptions. Please don't assume. Ask him directly. And if you can't get a direct answer and you've asked this question, that's telling you something.
Yeah.
Are you seeing someone? Where do you, my husband will tell you, dude, I need your labs. I'm that girl. I'm going to ask you directly what I need to know. And part of it's maybe having brothers, just kind of being around the fellas a lot. Will teach you kind of some of their behaviors, right? They ask you for what they want. You need to be able to ask what you want without shrinking. And I get it as women, our hearts, when we get, but before your heart get in, ask what you need to know. And I'm not saying that when I meet someone, I'm like, this. I'm not interviewing you like that. But I'm not going to go and assume some things based on what his posts look like or what he's liking or what he kind of said. Like, I don't do well with lack of clarity.
Yes.
So I just need to know directly.
I like that. I'm like that. Questions to ask.
No, because that's a good one, and that's a crazy story. I would never even think, there's a situation, that's a conversation for another day that I'm actually getting ready for, but there was a situation like that recently that came out where the guy was getting married on September 2nd of this year. He's also getting married to a man. September 2nd. You see that, right? I'm like, ladies, you got to figure this stuff out. You got to ask the tough questions. And brothers, I don't want to throw y'all to the wolves, but I'm married. So, I can talk the talk. I can give away the secrets. But, you got to ask that tough question. What are we? And brothers don't want to hear the what are we question. And they get the sweat behind the ears when they hear, oh, we got to talk. Oh, Jesus, what is it? But you got to. Because people need to be informed, and really, it will help a lot of men out. You'll be surprised. I've been trying to get men together for this show as well. They have a separate conversation. But they're dealing with a lot of the same stuff ladies are. I wish y'all could just meet each other. Right? That would make life so much easier, but it's not happening. Something y'all had brought up earlier, and I want to kind of go back to that. So, there's a number of women out there that's like, you know what? I'm just done with the dating scene. I give up. It ain't for me. It's a young girl's game. I'm spent. I can't do it. How do we, and it could just be they're done, they're frustrated, maybe they're heartbroken. So how do we manage that? How do we put ourselves back in position to find love if that's what we really desire? Do we just give that away? So I'd like to hear from the ladies, and then, Vicky, you can then chime in, give us some of that therapeutic advice as well. But ladies, have you heard from your friends? Maybe you dealt with personally, you don't have to go into the personals, but how have you seen people manage heartbreak? Or have they not, or are you not seeing that people are doing a good job with it? Because you hear some people say, oh, best way to get over one man is get under a new one, right? That's a saying. You hear about some girls, they go get another degree. That's a very popular one, especially with the sisters. People get into the gym, getting the best shape of your life. Oh, he left me. I CrossFit every day, every week. So how are we managing heartbreak, or how are you seeing heartbreak being managed?
So I do have a friend who, she's now divorced, and she was like, I'm never getting married again. And I want to get married again. And I'm like, no, it hurts my heart because she's such a beautiful, loving person. And I want her to be happy. I want her to be fulfilled. And I mean, like, I don't have a problem telling anybody I'm 53. All my grandparents lived in their 90s. So I got 50 more years to go. You know? And I want to live it to the fullest.
Right.
You know, and I want to have that special somebody to go vacation with and hang out with the grandkids and do all of that. So I'm looking forward to it. And for me, for dating going forward, I let them know, hey, I'm looking to get married again. So if you're not, keep it moving, and that's fine. But I think what I try to tell everybody is, you chose poorly the first time. That doesn't have to be a story again. What did you learn from that? What did you learn about yourself? For me, I learned so much, and I'm not that same person back then when I married the first time. So I know more about myself. I know more what I want, and I will ask the questions this time. You know, I'm not going to leave it up to just assumptions. And so I feel hopeful about the future for myself dating.
Just to piggyback off of that, I feel like you are the energy that you create. So if you need to take the break, take that. But like you said, treating it like your job. So, you know, sometimes our job pisses us off and we come home crying and we can't take it anymore. But what do? We still regroup.
Get a new job.
We get ourselves back together. And we get another job. And so I just feel like, you know, why should you have to suffer and stay by yourself if that's not what your heart desires? If you know that's not what you want in your end goal, then why make yourself suffer? I think do the work for yourself so that you can attract the right things. And don't rush it, but I still feel like you deserve a life of abundance. Like that's what God wants for us. He wants to satisfy all the desires of your heart. Sorry, little Christian. And so I just feel like, you know, take the time to do the work, to, you know, go to the gym, invest in yourself, but get back out there. That's the only way. You know, when you're a toddler, you fall, when you get back up and keep walking.
And there's somebody out there that deserves you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The disappointment probably sets in a little bit more severe as you age. So like we were talking, the closer you get to that 35 point, because not only are you dealing with the disappointment of not having found one, but you're looking at that clock. That biological clock says, if you want to be a mother, whoa, oh my God, you feel so much pressure. You do a lot of reflecting, a lot of wondering, looking at how much time you spent on other things, and that's helpful. Although it hurts, it's important because you're trying to gain more skills as you move forward. So I say, I mean, therapy is super helpful for it because sometimes you need to, when we're in our head. Sometimes I hear the conversations that people have with themselves. I am like, whoa, that conversation needs to be had with somebody else, because when you're going back and forth within your own self, that perspective can be so off and unbalanced. That's why you need to have a good support group. You need to go to therapy and have somebody else really hear your whole story and kind of feed it back to you so you can hear it with a different ear. But I encourage women to address the disappointment. Like, call it what it is. The disappointment can lead to hopelessness and makes you say, I'm done, forget it, or I don't want to put in that much work. And when I hear that, I go, damn, but black women will do it for their careers, but they won't do it for a relationship. That thing takes work. And a lot of times there are situations that could have worked, but each of us have these expectations that are unmanaged. And so therefore, we're not going to put in that work like we would a job, because he should come with all his stuff already together. So I don't have time to work with you, to grow with you, to figure out life like that. Get some help. If you think you have something that could potentially work, get help. Let somebody help you guys. And don't wait until, you're down the road and you're married and years go by. Like, if you have a relationship, you think this could work, go let somebody, a therapist, sit with you guys to help you figure out how you could make this work, right? But I definitely think as far as managing the disappointment expectation, you don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Because it leads to a lot of hopelessness. It makes you think all black men are bad. That there is no one out there for you, and that's what I feel like that's what the enemy wants you to think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that prior engagement I had before, I embraced it. After I grieved and just was like, okay, I realized I'm not the girl. Like all my friends was gonna get married right out of college. I went to grad school. I hung out though. Like, I had friends. I hung out with the fellas, the girls, like whatever. And it was a good time because I grew close to the Lord. Like He really did something amazing for me.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I traveled. I was at every HBCU game. I mean, I had a good time. Honestly, when I met my husband, I was like, what? You brought him in here. I was not looking for him. Yeah? So I wasn't even looking to settle at that point. But I had found myself really enjoying who God was molding me into. Happy with where I was going. I just was delighting myself in the Lord, and He would give me the desires of your heart. That's where I was. And I'm telling you, I was shocked when I was like, who is this dude you brought into my life right now? But obviously, it's what God wanted for me. But I think it was because of that period after the breakup that I did my grief, that I did some self-work, that I really grew closer to Him and allowed Him to fulfill for me what His plan was for my life.
I like that. Another question, I can't remember if I asked it already. I think I asked it in prep, so not actually during the live show. But, you talk about situationships, you talk about managing heartbreak, and a lot of that stems from, in the beginning of the relationship, maybe we give too much of ourselves. So I don't think I've asked that. So, do we give too much of ourselves? Because I hear about women that's like, they're letting a guy, and sometimes these are still situationships, these aren't even relationships. They're letting the guy use their car. They're giving them their credit card. I've heard situations where girls go buy, they buy a boyfriend their cell phone, and they pay the bill. These things happen, right? Because, women get caught up. Shoot, men do it too.
Yeah.
But, for the sisters, because we're dealing with the ladies tonight, do we give too much of ourselves, even sexually, right? You're dating someone and the guy's asking you to do all this stuff or all these different things. Bringing in other people to the bedroom, that seems to be real popular these days.
That's the thing, isn't it?
So, like when I have a threesome. So, you hear about these girls giving so much of themselves. How do you manage not giving up too much of yourself, but at the same time, you don't want to appear selfish? Shout out to Anthony O'Neill. He talks about all the time, like, it'd be nice to see that she might offer to pay for a meal. So, obviously, there has to be balance. You don't want to just be a taker. You got to give some point. But how do you find the balance of not giving up too much of yourself? So once again, I want to get the ladies, I want to get your input, and then Vickye will go for some of your expertise, advice from being a therapist and some of these things you have to talk through on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
I think some of it is perception. I'm a giver, and so some things that are just nothing to me to do. I think some people receive it. It depends on where they're thinking, like, oh, I'm using her, or I'm getting this. And I was like, because I did this for you, that was nothing. But you also have to have your own boundaries. Just like you said, you have your boundaries up front. If you are already asking me to pay your bills, then you're not the one for me, because you need to be taking care of your own bills up front. I mean, you need to be in a position where you can handle your own bills. Because if you can't handle your own bills, why are you even dating? You're not even prepared. Like I said, I'm looking to get married again. So if you can't even cover your own bills, you're not husband material. So it's when you think about it like that, then that lets you know, okay, this isn't somebody that I'm gonna get with or anything like that. And follow that your inner Noah, like they say. Everybody's not in touch with the Holy Spirit, but it's like you should know that this ain't right, and then it's okay to back off and say, you know what, I'm not comfortable doing that. And I don't think you're the right person for me. I don't think we're suitable.
I like that. We're not suitable.
Yeah, I love the suitable. Also, like, I don't have the capacity to, do that for you at this time. Like, I appreciate everything that you've been doing for me, bro. Not at this time where, I don't know. I'm not paying. I don't know if I'm old school, but you're gonna could spend some money on me, but I'm not paying nobody's bills. Like I am a single woman in the DMV, okay? I already got enough bills for myself. So I can't tackle on anymore. That's the reason why I don't have any kids. So why would I pay yours? I mean, I could just get a dog or something like that. I don't know. That's just not my style. But devil's advocate, you know, I do know women who in a heterosexual relationship may like having the more dominant role. And they like to care, provide. I was watching this video of this woman saying she loves to scratch his back to sleep and things like that. But it's just like, what are you willing to give up for that? So you're doing all these wifely duties, but with nothing in return. I'm always thinking about it is return because it's your energy and your time. You can't get those things back. Especially in my late 20s now, I'm noticing like time is essential. But I think in the beginning dating phases, it's the time to observe and just to have fun. You don't have to give yourself away with your body or with your finances. This is just the time for us to get to know each other, have fun, see if we have that connection. And like I said, for me, it doesn't even have to be going out lavish restaurants. I like a walk. I like to go for a walk. That's free. Yeah. You know, we're here in the DMV, look at the monuments. That's free. It's so many free things to do. You don't even have to do all of that. So no, I'm not doing that. And like you said, your inner Noah, when you said pay the cell phone bill, my skin just got to itch in my spirit. I said, oh no, paying your bill, I'm struggling to pay mine. So no, I'm running my house. You know, I'm looking for a leader. It depends on what you're looking for. We have to I'm recognizing even when in my friend group, it's like some people want to do that and they like that and they are fine with that and I have to respect it. But as for me, I want to be led because I'm doing the real estate thing by myself. I'm leading the classroom by myself. So when I come home, I would like to be led. And those are actions of someone that makes it seem like they want to be a follower. And I don't want to be a leader in my household. I want to,
I want to follow. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I hear you. I remember before, or maybe right before my husband became my husband, we were friends. We were just hanging out, getting to know each other. And somebody handed me a book called The Rules. And The Rules. And it was a dating book. And I'm so glad they did. Because I followed many of the tips in there, and they worked. There were rules about first kiss. There were rules about when you're sex for the first time. There were rules about things you were going to say and do with kind of on a timeline. And not you stick to this, you only do it on this exact moment, but it gave you a general idea of where are the boundaries. It helped you set your boundaries early, right? So that I haven't given you the doggone milk. Now you don't have to buy the cow. Right? That's the same with you. Why buy the cow when you already getting the milk? So
that's
free.
Yeah. So you got to have this, and everybody's sexually liberated. I get it. So when you are, make sure that you know that you up for whatever comes your way, right? So if you have sex with many people and you want to be in a committed relationship, you're pretty much kind of setting yourself up for you get whatever you get. So I think you have to establish what are your boundaries with this, right? What have you communicated clearly for yourself? Like, what is it that I'm looking for in this person? If he's not going to do it, then just be like, yeah, this is fun. I'm also keeping my options open, right? But if you are pretending like we got this really committed relationship where we're doing everything, yeah, you're fooling yourself, right? And you think he's only going to say as much as he wants you to hear. Yeah, right. So you could be setting yourself up for failure when you do that. So I say know what your boundaries are. Be clearly communicating. You're setting expectations, communicating with him, asking the tough questions, and you don't have to necessarily be that, I think, in one relationship or with one person. I feel like you should treat it like a job. Read all the job descriptions.
I like that.
Writing that
all
down.
the job descriptions.
Now, and you know what? Speaking of reading the job descriptions, right? You got to go on interviews, so you got to date.
Yeah.
Right.
So something I want to talk about because it was brought up. Young lady I was talking to, and she had brought this up, and I was like, you know what? That's a thing I didn't even think about to talk about in the show. So I wanted to bring that one up. Is dealing with the dating jitters, right? Ladies, put a lot of time frame in your, what you're going to wear. Is it sexy? Is it too sexy? Do I look fly? Is he going to think this look cute? My hair? Sisters, we know the hair thing is big, right? Is he going to like natural hair? Does he want my hair to look straight? Should I wear a weave? These are things that you deal with, right? And then it's during the date. Am I laughing too much? Am I corny? And then after the date, is he going to talk to me again? I kind of like that guy, but is he the one? There are some girls, they go on one date and they're like, I think that's my husband. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all be the experts. But there's some women that say that. They'll go on one date with a guy and be like, oh my God, we're both Sagittarius. He went to a Baptist church, I went to a Baptist church. He likes Star Wars, I like Star Wars. And it's like so many surface level things, and you think that's a love connection, right? So how do you deal with that? Like, there's the dating jitters. How should we take that? So tell me a little bit about these experiences you're hearing about, dealing with, and then Vickye, if you give us some expertise on maybe how we should go into a date, expectations for ourselves, right? It's one thing to have expectations for the guy, but it's another thing to have realistic expectations for yourself as a woman when going into the date. So
I can't speak personally to the jitters. But what I would say to anybody is, don't get so anxious about it. Because at the end of the day, you want to be with that person that accepts you for who you are. So that fiance or that husband who's going to accept you as you are first starts out as that first date. So if they don't accept you as you are, in whether you wear natural hair or if you're into weaves, if you wear makeup, some men don't like makeup, then that's just not the person for you, and that's okay. Because out there is the woman who doesn't wear weaves that is going to be the right for. Because do you really want to spend your whole marriage fighting because you want to go get weave in your head and you can't because he doesn't like it? So why are you anxious about being with somebody that's going to accept you for who you are? I don't know. That's like I said, I can't speak to that personally. And as for I have had friends that are like, oh my gosh, I think he's one of us. Like, you don't have to know that on the first date. If he is the one, he's going to be there on the 4th and the 5th and the 6th date. You don't have to have that figured all out right at the beginning. Just enjoy the moment and look forward to the next moment.
Yeah, I like that.
Writing that down.
Take them notes.
I'm always a little anxious before like doing something, whether it's an interview or like first day on a new job or like meeting a new client. So like it's this commercial, like a secret commercial, and the girl is about to go on a date, and she's in the car like drying off her armpits, and then the guy she's going on a date with sees her in the car doing it. So it's like I've had those moments before, but I just learned to just relax. I'm a makeup person, so sometimes I'll just put on a little bit. But my sister told me this one thing, and she was like, "Don't wear too much because." Like you said, you want them to like you as yourself. So if you come there with a beat face, contour nose, lashes out to the nines, and then the next day you don't, maybe they may have like the full face version of you versus the natural version of you. So she just said just add a little zing, still look nice, but you don't have to go out with a full face because you do want that person to see you for face value, pun intended, but you do want that person to just see the real you. So
it's like kind of going back to what you're saying, like you're comparing it to a job interview. You don't lie at a job interview because you're gonna get caught.
Yeah, right,
So you
right.
you be honest, like, no, I do have kids in daycare and I need to leave it on time or something like that.
Right.
So go in there like, no, I can stay as long as you need me to,
right.
and then boom. So
Yeah, absolutely. How you manage dating jitters, first is manage the expectation. Sometimes when you're feeling the pressure of meeting the right one, you hold on, you gravitate to things that go, oh, ding, ding, ding. It'll suit whatever that makes you think this person may be the one.
Mm.
And that's why I think I always go back to what does dating look like? Because to me, I'm getting to know people. I'm not necessarily first off trying to figure out if you're the right one. I just don't. I'm more of a casually get to know people type of person. I want to know you. I'm first because I'm not good at surface level stuff. That's why I'm a therapist. I need to go deeper. If you come out there, we're not going to work if you only want to be on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go deeper. I need to like really get to know you, right? And so if you manage the expectations before you go out with someone, I always say, you don't even have to look at it as going on a date. I'm just going to get to know somebody. I'm going to go out and just have a nice time. What if he's ugly? What if he's short? What if he's this? What if that? Okay, we've decided to go out. So now I'm gonna have a good meal, and I'm just gonna shoot it up, and have a good laugh, and I don't have to worry about was he the one, or oh no, that was a bomber again, because I'm managing my expectation before I even get there.
I like
and
that.
I'm just getting to know another human being. I just want to know who this person is, and that's how I've kind of always socialized myself around guys, girls, anybody, because it doesn't set me up for so much disappointment. I'm just getting to know a person for who they are as an individual, where they are in life, and I think people, can bring down their jitteriness about is this the one, because if you think it's the one, you got to get your hair all right, you want to say the right thing, you want to do the right thing, you can't make any mistakes, it becomes too much pressure. So take the pressure off yourself and just say you're going out, getting to know somebody, right? If you're going with the idea that this is the one, then you already close your mind and you have kind of a narrow view of what you're seeing in front of you, right? You could write somebody else so fast and maybe you shouldn't have, because you didn't allow yourself to just be in that space, getting to know a person.
Yeah, I like that. I know I said that was my last one, but there's one more thing I'm going to bring up. And I'm going to get on the fellas the same way. But there's always that keyword accountability, right? So, we go through all these dating things, and, and we'll hear some people get burnt a few times, like just they have some bad experiences, life is tough, it's just not working out. Some people get bitter, and this is kind of like, all these brothers ain't this, Meg Thee Stallion got a song, I'm single again, SINGLE again, something like that, whatever. But, so you get this theme of, you're pointing the finger. Oh, it was this person's fault. Oh, my parents could have taught me better. This person didn't do this. Oh, I wish my pastor. And these could help. We're not taking away that we can't find a way as a community to help women out better. But then there's always that personal accountability. So, how do we address accountability? So we'll start with the ladies, and then, Vickye, if you want to give us this from some therapeutic advice towards accountability and how to manage that. So just some thoughts on that.
Oh, it's absolutely important. I chose my husband. I screwed that up.
Love the honesty.
Yeah, and for me, there was a lot of guilt because there were some issues with our children, and I'm like, I chose your father. I did this to you, and it is that serious, and so, but I do take accountability because I didn't have to be in that marriage. I chose that. I didn't ask some pertinent questions. I didn't wait for the answer, and even throughout the marriage is all about compromise. But I saw this little meme, and I was like, oh, that was so it. It was like, while I was overlooking minor things of yours, you were holding me accountable to every little thing. And that's kind of like how our marriage went. It was like, he was so mad at me and about things I didn't even do. But anyway, so I had to take accountability for that. I was like, okay, you know what? That was my mess up. And that's why now I'm much more confident. Again, I said, I know myself better. I know what I will not tolerate. And so now when I do see the red flags, I'm like, oh, it's all good. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, I agree with everything. She
Just
got
own it.
Said it all, just to own it and just not to be bitter about it. Like you said, we're just getting to know, you're just getting to know someone. Chalk it up as a loss and keep it moving, because when you stay bitter and you're in that space, you're not hurting anyone but yourself, and you're wasting time.
And
So-
it's not a loss if you learn something.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
if you learn
Sometimes it's
something.
not a loss.
It's a
just
lesson.
you had dinner with somebody. You
Yeah.
went on a walk with somebody. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's again, it's back to the expectation,
Yeah.
because if you're going with the idea that this could be the one, you can set yourself up for failure
Yeah.
already before you get there when you just went out. Maybe he wasn't the one. Okay, that's all good, but did I enjoy talking to this person? Maybe you didn't. Was the meal good? We got out. Like, I don't know. I think you gotta look at it a little bit lighter, which is, to me, going back to what dating can look like, and it needs to be a lot lighter. It's too heavy.
And,
It's too heavy.
also, like, accountability in recognizing those red flags, and when it does blow up in your face, you know, you already had that gut feeling in the first place. So, yeah. So, like, you know, just now with, like, also listening to other women. I think, like, that has been something that I needed to do. Just even hearing you say, as soon as I feel it, goodbye, thank you so much. Because it's lighter. Instead of going deeper, getting into something else, and then boom, you know. So I think those are some things to just not keep repeating the same pattern. What did you learn? Don't do it again, and then that's how you grow.
Because it's like, how much heartbreak, as you had asked,
Yeah.
could you have avoided if you didn't go down the path you knew you weren't supposed to go down?
Yeah,
Yeah.
changing your dating patterns. Stop giving too much too soon. Stop having these high expectations. Like, starting to mature and round yourself out and know what to expect. And then, you know, things. I'm not saying it'll be perfect, like, but it'll just be better. You know, you know better, you do better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So clarify me this accountability piece. Are you talking about the way in which women handle themselves, say, when they're in a dating situation, or?
Yeah, more so women in themselves, because I mean, men, I understand like some stuff you just don't see happening. So I'm looking at more or less women's accountability to themselves, and maybe how they pass that information on even, right? Because sometimes there was an opportunity for sometimes a generation that comes before. And a generation that comes before, it doesn't have to be decades. It could be, you know, the line sisters that come behind you, your prophytes. So, right? Generations to generation, it can be defined different ways. And then it's, you know, sometimes even just telling the young lady, it's not about just blaming it all on the men. Here's what I could have done better. And then sharing that information so that way I've paid the dumb tax so that you don't have to do it. Even on the Nitty Gritty Show, we've talked about everything from child support, previous relationships, and other conversations. And I like saying, like, look, I have a lot of dumb tax. Me, Juan DeCosta. Here's a way to pay it forward. So it's not, don't deal with women at all. Here's some things to consider before you take on a woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
that's what I mean when I say accountability. And I think you guys pretty much answered it in a lot of ways. What I was looking for is just, you know, how can women be accountable to themselves? You know, at what point do we not point the finger and look at what could I have learned from the situation, or what could I do better? How can I tell the next person to help them through it? You know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, in that case, I definitely think that, one, knowing yourself, like when you get in a place of the loneliness where it feels like it's never going to happen, you have to work through that, right? Because then we can make choices that we wouldn't ordinarily make if you are so caught in the loneliness, the disappointment, you know, another failed or missed unmet expectation. So I think when you're doing that, that will help you in such a way that you are being authentic to yourself, and then you can be authentic to the other person. When I'm in session with women, I hold them accountable. Like, did you ask that directly? Because right now all you tell me is what you assume. You're assuming based on this post, this DM, this what he said. Did you ask that directly? Did you ask blank? If you didn't ask that, I can't tell you. I don't have much. We don't have much to go on. You can tell me what you think you know. You can tell me from reading this, from so and so said. No, did you ask directly? Start there, and then you will have a fuller conversation to get to making a more informed decision, right? And then also following your gut. I think a lot of times women don't follow their gut, right? Because it's uncomfortable, right? or you just write something off, or you write a person off, and when you really should, you know, someone's saying, ooh, what was that? What did that mean? Ask, what did you mean by that,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you said this, help me understand what you meant by that, right? So a lot more clear questions, right? And hold your own boundaries. You don't have to tell him, I don't sleep with nobody until 3 months, right? You don't have to tell him, just do it.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? I mean, get your own, set them and stick to them, right? I remember when I was dating my husband, he was telling me, you need to move to California. All my friends are moving, their girlfriends are moving out here. And you know what I told him? I was in Texas, we both lived there, then he took a job in California, and he was like, you should move out here. This is like 4 months in. And I was like, I don't see any rings on my finger. And that was the end of that conversation. And I was not, like, if he had said, like, okay, when we threw out, I'd be like, well, okay, I guess we are. Just because I just feel like that was a boundary for me. I'm not about to move across the country for you to, I don't know, right? Be clear about what you want, right? I'm being clear about what I want.
My uncle, he went to medical school, and his wife was a nurse. She became a nurse practitioner, and he suggested that she, you know, stop her education, go get a job, and help him pay for medical school. And this was before they got married. It didn't happen, but you know, and I find it out 4 years later, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, you have to like know what your boundaries are, and you gotta like stick to them. Like some of the girls that he was like his coworkers and their girlfriends were moving out. You know, some of them worked and some of them didn't. But for me, you know, I'm like, okay, this is my boundary. I'm not about to move. I got a good job. I like where I live. I'm having a good time. So if you want to date me, you're gonna keep doing what you need to do to get me to move out to California. And he did what he needed to do. You got it?
Good move.
I love it. Look, this has been great. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling that I need to get the brothers up here with Vickye first, but I got a feeling we're going to do this again with the ladies because there's still a lot that we didn't cover, right? So I know people have questions. Feel free. If you have questions, to drop them in the comment section. I'll try to get those over to Vickye, and we'll try to get her to answer some of those. Before we go, you know, we like to do shout-outs to the Nitty Gritty Show. I'm going to save you guys for last because I want you guys to shout out like some of the things you're doing. Before we go through that, let me do some birthdays. Hope everybody can hear me. Shout out to Jasmine Thompson. Shout out to Chris Sharo. Shout out to Matt Tew. Shout out to Jeffrey Strickland, Garrett Powell, and Avis Johns. And last but definitely not least, his birthday is tomorrow. Shout out to Mike Hawkins, my father-in-law. So, yeah, got some birthdays going on. And then anniversaries. We got a lot of anniversaries going on over the last week. So shout out to Joe and Katrina Queen, 2 years. Shout out to Sammy and Renia Washington, 16 years. Shout out to Andre and Liara Brown, 18 years. Shout out to Brian and Shinda Moore, 22 years. Greg and Daria Daniels, 22 years. Goodwin and Corifia Corpa, 3 years. And then last but not least, this is a big one, drum roll, William and Virginia Brockett from Keep K-Fam, 67 years. So guys, don't give up on love because it is definitely possible, right? It can happen for you too. And that's why we wanted to have this conversation on the Nitty Gritty Show. Because I see a lot of one-sided conversations. You have men that's dogging sisters. Yeah. I don't like that, right? Because I love my sisters. And then at the same time, I'll see women just dogging men. Yeah. But then there's so many complex things in between that are going on, right? Sometimes they're gender specific. You know, we're talking like general heterosexual relationships. And sometimes they're not. I think that when we talk to the men, we're going to see a lot of similar themes going on. So we'll talk about it. So once again, thank you guys for being on. Before we leave, I'll start with Elisa and we'll work our way down. I want you guys to shout yourself out. Elisa, you're a real estate agent. You've been a real estate agent for a while in the DMV area,
yes,
right?
I've been a realtor for 21 years. I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and I actually have a listing coming up in Fairwood in the community of Fairwood and Bowie.
All right, and where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
soldbyelisa@gmail.com.
Cool. Tiffany, also a real estate agent.
Yeah.
You still got Lachelle Lashes. You got your hand in everything. An educator. But tell people where they can find specifically Lachelle Lashes and also your real estate stuff.
So please follow me at Tiffany_Realtor, TIFFANI_Realtor, and also Lachelle Lashes, LACHELLE Lashes. So straight across.
Nice.
That's the difference in the generations. I'm also sold by Elisa on all the social media sites.
See, they be having it together. Like, she already know, like, hey, let's go, right? So that's good. Please, you know, a lot of houses being sold in the area, a lot of houses being purchased in the area. Reach out to these beautiful women so they can help you in that endeavor. And then last but not least, Vickye, if you can tell people where they can find you. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have questions. That's great to ask a question, but people, if you need to ask like a conversation, how about you go you book a session?
Let me tell you about.
The same thing with the real estate agents. Don't be asking them a bunch of questions about real estate and all that. Hire them as your realtor, okay? This is how you really support black business. You spend some money. So Vickye, tell people where they can find you. They might ask a question, but if they need a session, they can book a session. Tell them where they can do that.
Yes, absolutely. You can actually Google me and find me on Psychology Today at my website at Emerge LC. That's EMERGE, the letter L, C.com. But yeah, you can find me easily.
Yeah, so reach out. Y'all have questions. Once again, ladies, thank you guys so much. I think this was a very needed conversation, and I'm happy that you guys were a part of it for us. So this was fun. Thank you guys for coming on once again. And this is the Nitty Gritty Show. We are out.